Hey everybody, it's BlueToad, and welcome to Terraria. I've been really wanting to do this for a while. This is going to be a very different kind of game for me to do, though, because it is quite big, there's a lot to do, and it just takes time. So the editing for this will be an interesting time, to say the least. But let's go ahead and create a character. The first thing we need to know on the screen here is the mode that we play. Journey characters, you create your character and you can use them for different worlds and servers basically, and you keep the stuff across both of everything. But journey mode basically starts us with extra equipment, and it's kind of creative mode, but you have to kind of build it from scratch, which is interesting. And you get the ability to modify certain things in the environment and the world around you, which can be quite useful, but it allows you to get a lot of things that you want to get done. Classic mode means you drop your money on death. Pretty standard. No extra bonuses for being classic. Medium core means you drop items on death, which can be quite difficult and annoying because you have to go back to where you died and get it back. And hardcore means your character dies for good and you can't respawn. I'm probably going to go with classic for this though, because I don't want to have to get stuck in a death loop and collect my stuff every time. Plus, if your game crashes after you die, it'll unload everything and your stuff will be gone. Your stuff should stay there as long as you don't close the game or leave the world or whatever. So, but let me just put in a name. Go with Jeremy. We can set our hair, which there's a whole lot of hairstyles in the game. A whole lot of styles. I'm probably just gonna go with the default, probably. Or maybe go short. Short good. I don't know. There's eye color, which we can set as a color. There's skin tone, which you can set to whatever. I could be green. I don't know. We can set overcloak thing, vest, which is different depending on what clothing type you wear. Probably just gonna go with whatever I do normally. Got the undershirt. I have really no idea how to design this look at all, but it's fine. Got pants. And then since Oh, we can actually get the color from clipboard, which is interesting. I've not seen that before. It's been a while since I played, but I'm pretty sure the game hasn't updated recently either. Also, we can also set our hair color as well, which I forgot to do. I was wondering why there was two hair tabs and didn't even think about it for a second. But there we go. Let's get started. This is also going to be interesting because it will take time, and so one of the big things about this game is the music, but because I'm going to be editing around, it might just jump around a bunch. But anyway, let's build our world, which I usually like to just do world-number, basically. The seed, we can just go with whatever it is. Now, one thing that's probably worth noting is the world size. For one of the achievements, you probably want to go small, but I'm just going to go large because I like large worlds. There's a lot to it. Journey mode, with great power comes great responsibility. Unearth your creativity. I can't actually remember what this does for the world, but it's probably good if you want to actually like modify a whole bunch of stuff. Classic mode, the standard Terraria experience. Don't have to do anything too crazy with that. Expert though, far greater difficulty and loot. Fortune and glory, kid. And master, game over man, game over. Brutally hard for the truly brave. So if you really like the game and you want a really big challenge, you can do that. But for the sake of actually getting to the end of this game, I'm just gonna go with classic. And then down here we have a world type, which I'm gonna go with corruption, and I'm not gonna go random. Corruption and crimson are pretty similar to each other, but they're basically a biome in the world that is unique to that world, basically. But they're like alternate versions of each other. I'll try to probably do both, but I like corruption to start off with, so we're gonna go with that. A disease like corruption is guaranteed to be present in your world. Just interesting text here. In Crimson, Macabre Grotesque Crimson is guaranteed to be present in your world. Or we go random and it picks either one. It's also quite changes the file image here. But let's create the world, which will take a minute or two. Also, when we're on the menu screen here, we can actually grab the sun or moon, like move it around, which is interesting. I've got the sun! Behold! Desertification! Also, the loading bar for this is also different depending on if you have a Crimson world or a Corruption world. This also probably won't be the best, like, showing of the game, but I'm going to try and do my best, so... Let's just favorite that so it's at the top of my list, and let's get in. Alright, welcome to Terraria. We are happy because there is, the sunflowers over here. We have 3 things in our inventory. We got a short sword, a copper short sword, copper pickaxe, and copper axe. Also, the HUD for this game, I like being, like, really zoomed out for. So I can see a lot of stuff, but I'm going to try and probably edit it down so you can actually see what's happening here. So with that copper axe, we can actually chop down the tree. We can actually chop it from wherever we want to, but it's probably better to start at the bottom of the tree, so you get the whole thing. Anything that's part of the tree that is above the bit that you chop down will get broken down, so you can just get all the wood from that. We also have some living wood wand, which means we can put down special blocks made out of living wood. I'm surprised we got that so fast. But we just, like, click on the screen close to us where we want to mine something or axe something, and we can do that. Obviously, the axe works on trees, but the pickaxe doesn't. The pickaxe, though, can do pretty much everything else in the game, including sunflowers. We have sunflower now. I'm gonna move these, so... I also should have been paying attention to where my spawn was, because I usually try to build on the spawn point. We also have Jan here, who is our guide, our friend that spawns in at the beginning of the game. Greetings, Jeremy. Is there something I can help you with? Crafting? Well, we haven't even looked at crafting yet, but he basically shows us the recipes that we can do. And we can place the material into the spot here, and it will show us everything that we can do with that material, even though we don't have everything for it yet. But we can work towards that later. Also, there's a slime here. The guide is an NPC, and the NPCs will try and generally hunt the enemies around you. But they're not very good at it, and they'll probably die later on to just random stuff. I'm probably going to die to random stuff, which is why I'm doing softcore. Our copper short sword is bad, basically. We want to get rid of that as soon as possible. Our copper pickaxe is probably better, because we can just swing it by holding down the button. If we're just, like, using our copper short sword, we have to actually click to stab, and we can't, like, keep repeating the action that well, unless we, like, shitter click. So... Oh my goodness, Lemon. That was fast. We'll just get some random drops out of the trees. You can get them without having to drop down the tree. You can just hit them once to check the tree. But right now we're going to want as many blocks as possible to work with. This is a very interesting 2D experience. 2D crafting mining game. So let's get some more materials and get rid of some slime. Also, if we press down Control, I'm not sure what button it is on other systems, but whatever we're closest to will be highlighted to based on where our cursor is. I've also highlighted the cursor in the settings, but it means that we can quickly mine that thing without having to be directly on it. Which means we can, like, mine behind blocks if we don't do that, but it's quite nice to be able to just, like, mine through it without having to think too much. We don't want to mine down too much right now for the moment. It's not too bad that we can do that, but I'm going to try and get a house built first, probably. And what I might actually do for that is, because on the map here we can actually see that there's a spawn here, I might try reloading the world, because whenever you reload the world, you'll spawn back at spawn. So you can't, like, save where you're up to. But I just want to know where that specific spot is, basically. I guess I could die as well to figure out where that is, but I want to be there, you know? I don't know. But if we press escape, we can actually check our inventory and see all this stuff here. There's a lot to look at on both sides of the screen. The main part is this inventory here, which has the top bar, which is our scroll wheel, basically. So we can just scroll through that to whatever is selected. But the rest of our inventory is pretty good. We can stack up to 999, I believe, now. Or possibly even higher than that. I can't remember what it was. I'm pretty sure there's a mod that allows you to increase that. But it used to be like 99 was the max, and we've already got 400 wood here. So that would be like 4 spots, 5 spots even, of wood alone. So it's a lot better now. But depending on what items we have in our inventory, options on the left here will actually be available to us to craft. So let me just build a workbench here, which if we're nearby a workbench, we can get more recipes available to us. So we're going to want to have as many crafting type decorations as possible. There's also a wood platform made from just one wood. It's kind of just like 2 pieces of wood split in half, but like we can place it down and we can stand on top of it and like stand underneath it as well, so we can like drop down and go through it. It's basically a video game platform. If ever I can't speak. I can't speak still. If ever there was one, just ignore me. I'm trying. So we can just like make it float in midair. I mean, we can make anything float in midair if we try hard enough. So just put the wood there, and we can jump into it, which is quite useful, especially if we want to actually get my base built a bit more. We probably want to have that set up before nightfall though, which is getting quite close. So let me just get rid of these slimes, and then I'm gonna reload. We've also got torches here to create light, because when it goes nighttime, it's gonna be dark. The torches don't stop enemies from spawning, but it does just mean we can actually see them, which is good. Anyway, let me just reload. Okay, so this is the spawn. There's also a half block here, which is still a full block. It just like visually and functionally works as half a block, so we can actually like go up it like a staircase. Some of them are also just sloped. So there's half block, slope block, and the different angles of that, basically. I still wasn't paying attention to where my spawn was because the guide is in the way. Can you move, sir? Let me just put this here like that. I think that's good. I'm going to reload again to make sure that that's the spawn. The spawn is kind of like 3 blocks underneath us, even though we're 2 blocks wide, 3 blocks high. That's important to know. We still spawn in the middle of that, so... So, this is where I want to build my base. I'm just going to mark that there and replace these with wood platforms. And I might just like build around this a bit more. I'm probably going to like try and super flat out a bunch of things, which is not really the best way to design a beautiful looking house. There's a lot of like really impressive builds that people have in this game, but I'm bad at it, so I'm just going to build whatever is functional. I should also mention that any block that is like 1 block high, we can actually like step up automatically, so it doesn't have to be a slope, but it's a little bit smoother if it is a slope, so. To make a slope though, we actually need a different tool. So let me put my workbench down, allowing us to make a hammer, which is another type of tool and a weapon. But we can swing it at a block to change its block type. So now that's a half bit of dirt, now it's a slope, now it's a slope the other way. It's an upside down slope, slope the other way again, and then back to normal. And it just cycles through. Which means I can kind of make a slope out here, although I'm probably going to make it flat still. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Make the roof of this area. I should actually measure this in a different way. I'm going to use torches to measure it. So let's make some torches, because they're pretty good. We can put them on walls as well, which is nice. Like that. Or on the ground. Or even on the background wall here as well. Which is quite nice as well. We'll try and do that once we have a bit more things to set in. If you have control sets, so auto-place stuff, or auto-mine stuff, the torches will always be a certain distance apart, unless you stop doing that, basically. So there. That's a pretty good sized room, is 4 torches wide, starting from the max that the torches can be, spaced apart. So like that. Outside there too. Break this random block that I put here. Also, If I can get rid of this slime quickly. The other functionality of a hammer is actually breaking this background wall, which is kind of useful for us, but I don't want it to be dirt, so I'm going to get rid of that. It's getting pretty close to nighttime already. It's not too bad if we don't have a house, but I would prefer to have a house, because different monsters will spawn at night. The slimes aren't too bad, so I can basically just ignore them, although I do need to be careful with my health, because I will be not very careful with that, and it will eventually catch up to me. Now, at the workbench, we can also make wood wall to actually fill in this background properly. And some doors, which we can just place in, and we can open that ourselves, depending on which way we're facing. But also, they added it to make where it automatically opens and closes if you just walk through it, which is nice. Back in my day, we couldn't do that. We had to open and close it manually. Anyway, we need those doors to actually make this a room. Let's put down some more wall here. We've almost got a house, but it does take a lot of wall to actually get it all in. The other thing of note with doors is if you have something behind it, it doesn't open that direction. So it can only open currently outwards from this, which is actually good because some enemies can actually open the door. So even if it's just like a torch, it's probably beneficial so it doesn't open, can't be opened by enemies. We can also use living wood actually here as well, if we wanted to. As long as we have a pickaxe in our inventory, we can also break blocks by placing blocks down, which is nice. Also, it's nighttime. Officially, because the music changed. That's a good indication of, like, what time of day it is early game. Because it will actually be useful to actually know what time it is specifically. I really like the music, but I'm going to be, like, cutting around so much, so it's going to be hard to actually listen to. I really like the environment of Terraria. Also, shooting star just landed over here. I'm going to grab that. Those just randomly fall at night. They aren't totally helpful, but they will be quite good early on, so I'll try and grab as many of those as I can. Well, there's a floating eye there. That'll just float into us, I guess, as much as it can. It'll bounce off a lot of stuff as well. There's also zombies, and that one I believe is a bit tougher than the rest, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Let me open the door and actually try to take it out. It has a lot of health and does a fair bit of damage, as well as the eye. I'm going to die immediately. This is why I'm on softcore, because I'm going to die. Get away. Stop it. Nice. Nice. Okay, I'm going to close the door now. We're fine. I only got down to 14. It's fine. Let me build a campfire and put that down, because that also gives us a little buff. Cozy fire. Life regen is slightly increased. So as long as we're not in combat, which takes a few seconds to get out of, after fighting something, or being attacked by something, we'll start regaining health pretty slowly, so. But with the campfire, it's a little bit faster. Also, the guide's outside the house, and he's gonna die, but it's fine. He's got a bow, and he should be fine. Also, as long as we're holding down to craft on an item with the right click, you can just, or left click. That's actually good to know. It will just keep doing it a lot. And we can also uncraft wood. Some things you can uncraft, some things you can't uncraft, but you only need it for whatever it is, basically. For the most part, it's just wood. I'm pretty sure it's the only thing I can think of immediately. Let me put these torches up here now. Right click to get rid of them by just popping them open. But now, to make this house a home, it needs a table, chairs, and a wall, and sufficient lighting. And I think probably a door. We've already got most of that. We just need a chair now, because a workbench still counts as a table. Let me just put this over here, though, so I can get rid of that torch there. And now this should be a sufficient house. We can check with this menu over here by opening up inventory, going to housing, and going housing query, and then we can select the housing, and the text will tell us what it is. So if I press T, that drops your weapon. That drops whatever's highlighted. Never mind. If I press Enter, I can open up the text menu and just post text. But it shows us that the housing is suitable, and now it's already occupied by the guide here, which we can see by the banner inside the building. There's a lot of enemies here already. I should probably do something about that. We can make a bow, a wooden bow. 4 range damage, 4% critical strike rate. It's alright. It will still be good to make that to start off. But it does take up arrows, which we have an ammo spot here. These 4 spots here are for ammo. And we can craft more arrows with wood and stone brick. We can make a lot of those, but I also need stone. But I'm probably just going to make weapons for the moment and then work on stuff. This is going to take me a bit. I apologize. We can also make a wooden sword, which is much better than the copper short sword, because we can swing it like that. It doesn't swing automatically, though, which is something that will have happen later when I get the shooting star. They will disappear at dawn, so we need to make sure we grab those if we want them. Just go through the door. I kind of want to just leave for the moment. And we can also make wooden armor, which makes everyone's skin just exactly the same to start off. I'm pretty sure I can right-click it to equip it, but otherwise we can also put it on the right menu over here, just into its spot. There's the equipment slots here, but there's also the vanity slots here. So if I put that there, I don't get any extra stats from that, so no extra defense from that, but it'll still appear on me visually as wearing it. But for now, we're just a little wood man, I guess. And we have 3 defense. The wood greaves is apparently no defense, but because we have all of the wood armor equipped, it gives us a set bonus of 1, so we have actually got 3, rather than just 2 from the helmet and breastplate. There's a lot to explain in this. Like, I knew that there is, but oh my goodness. It'll probably slow down, especially when I have to actually, like, work on stuff slowly, because I can't just do it all at once. But yeah, the wooden sword is a lot better than the copper short sword, so we're gonna use that a bunch. And also the bow is, like, incredible, but we also don't want to waste too much ammo because it will have to get more. Get out of here. Get rid of you, please. Nice. I like the wind blowing, that's very nice. Should also probably put down some more torches so I can just, like, see in the darkness. Like, it's not too dangerous at night, but we still need to be careful not to go too hard. This game is so good. I enjoy it so much. It's been a while since I last played it, and I've been meaning to actually do a playthrough of this for ages. I just really needed a good time for it, which currently it is September going into October, which is kind of like the time that I usually play it in the year. It's like just before spooky season, and it's quite nice. And for me, it's like springtime, so like it's a good time to get into it, basically. What else can I craft right now that I might want? We can make a fishing rod, or fishing pole, but it does require bait, which we don't have yet, so I'm going to hold off on that. We can make wooden fence, which is kind of like a background wall, but for fence. I probably don't need to explain everything, but I'm also going to do what I can. And whenever a wall is like next to it, another piece of wall, it will connect automatically. I want to get the star quickly. And see if I can get rid of this eye here. This wandering eye. Or demon eye. There we go. We'll also get money from enemies, which we're going to use to buy stuff from NPCs, but we don't have anything other than the guide right now. So we need to actually build more house rooms. In order to get more, I'm going to be very careful by walking through that enemy. It's fine. The eyes also drop lenses, which we'll need as well. We got a lemon from a tree. If we consume that by, like, I believe, clicking it outside of the menu or using it from a hotbar, we'll give minor improvements to all stats, which is pretty good for 5 minutes. But I'm gonna, like, hold on to that until we need it for, like, fighting a bunch of things. Much tougher than zombies, so... Grab your torch because the zombie was holding one. Like, this is a pretty simple gameplay loop, but there's like so much more to go. And I'm starting out so slow. But that is Terraria, basically. That is the basics, for the most part. You can also make Tiki Torch, which is just a decoration, which works as a light source. We can make flaming arrows by combining torches with arrows. They do more damage than a regular arrow by like 2 range damage, because in addition to our bow's range damage, we also have the ammo damage. A regular wooden arrow does 5, a flaming arrow does 7, and has a very small chance of actually setting... Actually, no, I think it's a guaranteed chance of actually setting an enemy on fire. Which, as long as they're on fire for a few seconds, will actually do damage to them. So that's pretty good. And the Jester's arrow, by using Fallen Stars, which is pretty good, will do 10 range damage. I think I prefer flaming arrows, but both will be good, basically. Let's make some flaming arrows to get started there. Alright. Day 2. Let's try and do some stuff. We have a decent bit of wood still. We can't craft anything else right now. So what I should probably do is actually go underneath the house here and mine out as much of this stone as I can. We'll get more stone the deeper we go, but also I just want to get what I can from the surface to get started. And if I can, I'd also like to make another room so we can get another NPC. We can also turn the fire on and off, but also that turns off the buff that we get from it as well. The buff is only active as long as we're in range with the fire as well, so we need to actually, like... If we want to, like, have good healing everywhere, we'd have to set up a bunch of campfires. It's not much, but it could be useful, so... Okay, that's probably enough stone. We have 23. Is that enough? It is. We can make a furnace using 20 stone, 4 wood, and 3 torches. This is kind of like... Hang on, I'm going to move stuff around a bit here in this room. It shouldn't break everything immediately, but I will need to put the fireplace and stuff back in. I'll put that right over by the chair so we can sit by that. We can also right-click the chair to actually sit in ourselves. Ah, the fire. It's fine. I need to put down the workbench again. I'll put that next to our furnace. But the furnace works similar to a workbench to allow us to craft more things. Not that it's got much available now here, other than grey brick, which will be converting 2 stone into grey brick, which is kind of better for building houses than stone. You definitely don't want to build houses out of stone. Trust. It'll make sense later on. And it also just, like, looks good, so I like that. But we need to actually get some minerals, some metals, so we can melt them down and actually make different tools with them. It might also be a good idea to also explore a bit, so I might try that. I've got some daybloom seeds from one of the flowers here. That might be useful later on. I can't remember what stuff I can actually make with it, though. Let's go exploring. We can also see that the map, reveals itself as we go. It is also dependent on light, though, so if there's no light, we won't be able to see in the darkness. We can also press M to view the whole map, see where our position is, where NPCs are, and I think we can also change on the inventory screen how our map looks, so we can see, like, kind of faded in the overlay, or we can see it in our mini-map here. We can actually get rid of it entirely. What is this one? Oh, that's just the full map, right. That makes sense, but I'm going to keep the mini-map up. This slime just blew in on a balloon. There's another one. Might also be good to grab these mushrooms here, because they actually heal 15 life. Oh, it's windy in the desert. I should stay out of the desert. That seems bad. Bad things will happen in windy desert. So, I mean, yeah. You know? I feel like I explained that pretty well with only panicking. I didn't, but just ignore that.